Come on in. Stay a while. It's time to get coached up with another edition of the Coach Scott Field Show. You might be watching us on DBTV at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. It's a first of its kind cable network. Or you could be watching us on CSTV on Wednesday evenings, or you're watching us on the Rewind Sports 60 networks. Thank you for choosing us for your viewership's options. I am grateful. If you're listening to us in podcast form, my man BlackJack and I say turn that knob up. Let us put that flavor in your ear. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to be coached up once again. We're another edition of the Coach Scott Field Show. And for all those algorithms out there, please like and follow our Coach Scott Field Show on Facebook. Subscribe for free to our YouTube channel, and please send those emoji reactions and comments, and we'll be sure to get right back with you. Today, I am honored and humbled. He has a movie made about his life story. He's featured on a Netflix documentary, a current Harlem Wizard who has a phenomenal life story that I'm sure we're going to dive into today. My friend, BlackJack. Jack Ryan. Jack, welcome to the show, my man.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
This is going to be a lot of fun. Hey, I know you're super busy. You just finished up with the camp here this morning. How did that go?
Great. I had about, 150 kids, and, I drove them crazy, and then I left, and the coaches got to deal with them and the counselors. Got them all riled up.
There you go. Well, hey, that's what you do best. You send a powerful message using the game of basketball as your platform and entertain these kids with your wizardry. I mean, you're a current Harlem Wizard who does a phenomenal job. And, to kind of segue, it kind of saved your life at the same time.
Absolutely. I'm still a Harlem Wizard after, I think it's 26 years now.
Wow.
I don't do much with them anymore. I have my own entertainment business, but I always want to be connected with the Harlem Wizards and the owner, Todd Davis, because that's the guy that gave me my chance. That's the guy that changed my life. If he would have said no, might not be too good.
Oh, man. And let's talk about that. A street ball legend. And before internet, before social media, before, YouTube and all those things, I mean, you were known as a unbelievably skilled athlete in basketball. I mean, Pete Vesey says that, probably one of the most talented guys he's ever seen play. How does that make you feel when you hear, NBA columnist, Hall of Fame guy, Peter Vesey say that you're one of the most talented guys he's ever seen?
Well, coming from him, I mean, that's unbelievable. And he's been a lifelong friend, and he's helped me so many different ways and got me to try out with the Nets. But, growing up, there was no social media, people taking pictures and bringing video cameras to the court. I mean, I just played for the love of the game. I just played, my brother taught me how to be, the competitive part of basketball. And I just wanted to be the best. And, that's why I put all the time in the gyms and mostly the parks. We didn't really have many gyms that we can get into in Brooklyn, but I just fed off the the oohs and the ahs that I received, and that's what my brother did when I first saw him playing basketball. He got all those oohs and ahs and the love and respect, and I wanted to be like him. So one day I said, Randy, can you teach me how to play? But I didn't know it was all going to turn out to be like this. It's a good inspirational sports story, a New York sports story. And I'm just happy and lucky it turned out the way it did.
Yeah, let's backtrack because, watching the documentary on Netflix, I was fascinated, and I watched it months ago, and I'm like, this guy has a story to tell. I mean, it's inspirational, it's emotional, it's heartfelt. You and your father had a very rocky relationship, and here his name is Rocky. But talk to us a little bit about growing up in your home, what it was like, and your relationship with your family and with your father.
Well, my dad was a blue collar worker. He worked on the docks. He was a longshoreman. he was a no nonsense type of guy. You know, you sat down at the dinner table, you couldn't laugh, you couldn't joke around, you had to eat, and you know, you could talk serious, but you couldn't goof around. You know, he worked 80 to 100 hours a week. There was 5 of us, and you know, every time he came home, he had to hear what I did or didn't do. I remember my mom always telling me, Jackie, you were always so much different than all the rest of my children. I mean, I was just out of my mind, ADHD, class clown, couldn't sit still. Well, you know, never thought I'd get caught doing anything. So when we were all, it's me, Billy, and Randy. Randy's the oldest, then me, then Billy, and then we have my 2 sisters that are the youngest. But my dad was a football nut. He played semi-pro football for the Brooklyn Gremlins. So when we were 8 years old, he got us on this team, the Brooklyn Hurricanes, which was a great organization. It just closed just a few years ago. But yeah, my dad was a football nut. My brother Randy was first when he turned 8, then when I turned 8, then when Billy turned 8. And I was a quarterback. My brother Randy was offensive line, I think, and also played defense. And my brother Billy was a fullback. And we all did pretty good in football. And when I was 12 years old, my dad was the coach. I won the MVP of the league. And that summer, I flew out of a tree and I landed like Superman on my wrist. And I broke my wrist in 3 different places, which was a blessing for basketball because now I wasn't all righty. I wanted to continue to play. So I had to learn what to do with the left hand. And you know, 6-8 weeks later, when the cast came off, now I got 2 hands and go 2 different ways and shoot with my left hand. So, you know, that really helped me. But as far as football, I could never throw the football as far. I didn't have the accuracy. At the time, the love of basketball took over. And it was a hot summer night in August, and I had football practice, and all my friends were around the park playing basketball. And I came around because I knew I had practice, and I told my mom, I said, Mom, I don't want to play anymore. I'm done with football. I just want to play basketball. And she said, well, you got to go tell your father. I went, oh. So I went over there. I said, Dad, I don't want to play anymore. Boom, right here, right up in the nose.
Oh,
blood everywhere. Ran out to the park, and that's when our relationship really went downhill. I remember, you know, if I wanted 10 helmets, 14 shoulder pads, 17 footballs, he'd get it for me. And I'm playing in my sneakers, and I got a hole in my sneaker. I'm putting cardboard in the hole so I can, you know, not cut up my feet. And I say, Dad, can I have money? I need money for basketball sneakers. And he said, go get a job. So, yeah, it was rough since then. After that, he never came to one high school basketball game. I averaged 26 points a game my senior year in high school. And, you know, our relationship just went downhill.
yeah, that's rough because what I'm hearing you talk about is, you know, not only the verbal abuse, but also the physical abuse, and then just no love and support and no support system there.
My nickname was Bucko, but it was with an F. I don't want to say that on your thing.
Yeah.
That was my nickname.
And that has to hurt, you know, a child's self-esteem when the love and support of your father's not there. Because what I hear, it's kind of like you were Allen Iverson, a phenomenal athlete, you know, in multi-sports before Allen Iverson ever came around. And wow, what a gift you had, but yet your heart and passion was not in football.
No, I fell out of love with it because I wasn't the best anymore. I wasn't even starting anymore, and I just didn't want to play. I had no interest. I wanted to play basketball. Basketball just took over.
Oh, see, I grew up in the state of Indiana, so I get it. I was
Big basketball.
I was a four sport athlete myself, but man, there was something about basketball, hearing the roar of the crowd and the smell of the popcorn, the squeak of the sneakers, the swish of the net. I mean, there's something about it. Once it gets in you, man, it will drive you. Also love the story that you shared on the documentary, where sometimes at 2 a.m. you would sneak out the bathroom window, you know, go between the trees and go dribble around and play late at night at the park, and no one knew it. And that's where, you know, you were fueling your passion and honing your skills.
Yeah, I late night, and you know, I lived on East 4th Street. The big park wasn't on East 5th Street, so I would just jump out of the bathroom window, off the little the shelf there, and just go through one backyard, and I was out into the basketball courts.
So what would you take us through that mindset? You're a young guy, you're out on the courts, it's super late or early in the morning. Are you just out there, 3, 2, 1 shooting? Are you ball handling? What were you doing for those hours, on the court?
Imaginary basketball. I played imaginary basketball all the time. I would just imagine these defenses, who was guarding me, where they were guarding me, what I was going to do, how I was going to cross them up. Am I going to just stop and pop a shot? Just do that. Then sometimes I would shoot every day. I don't know for how many years, 1,000 to 1,500 shots a day, getting my own rebound. That's like 3 to 4 hours of just shooting by myself. Now they got the gun.
Yeah.
Now
right.
they got the gun.
Yeah.
Lazy gun.
Yeah, you couldn't be lazy back in the day when you had to go chase all your missed shots, but then or getting it through the net. But
right, and no net when we grew up in Brooklyn. It had a splash on the back of the rim. If you were lucky, it would hit the back of the rim and come towards you, or hit one of the side splashes and either come over here or come over here. Well, no, there was no net. It was a swish. It was at the fence.
which is helping you become a perfectionist with your shot, because you didn't want to have to chase your shots all the time.
Yeah.
Oh man, good stuff. Well, another part of your story I found interesting, because you talked about being a class clown, and that you got a bike from your grandmother and your mom. Go into that story about you getting the bike and the accident that happened while riding your bike.
So I fell in love with bicycles. I used to, borrow my friends' bicycles, and I couldn't get off it. I wanted to ride everywhere. I had a friend that lived 3 doors away from me, Anthony DeBlasi. Every Sunday, he would go to Grandma's house. I used to ride Anthony's bicycle all the time. When he went to Grandma's house, little Jackie Ryan went into Anthony DeBlasi's backyard and got his bicycle, and I would ride it all around the neighborhood and get it back at some point before they got home. So I always wanted a bicycle, but my dad was very protective over all of us, and he didn't want me to have a bicycle. He thought I was going to get hurt. So as a surprise to me and my father, my grandmother and mother, they got me a nice banana seat bicycle for my maybe 7th or 8th birthday. My full teeth just came in, and being the show off that I am, I got on the bike. I was so happy. I rode maybe 25 feet. I turned around with no hands on the handlebars to wave to them. The thing wrapped, and I went over the front of the bicycle and landed right on my teeth. And so my grandmother back in the day, she used to make these big lemon ice pots in this big gigantic thing and put it in the freezer. So she took me in. She thought, you have an injury, you put ice on it. She took my head and stuck it in the ice. My nerves were showing. I felt like I was getting electrocuted.
Oh,
yeah. But my father came home that day. He was not happy.
So his biggest fear was you being injured. You get a bike that he didn't know about. You're, showing off being, the clown that you are. You get injured and then have to go to the dentist. Finish that story. So what happens at the dentist?
So I go to the dentist, and first of all, I start getting bullied at school a little bit. I could see people laughing. I could see people talking. I found out my nickname was Fang. So I went to the dentist, and what they did with ultraviolet light, they would put, stuff on it, and then they would ultraviolet light to make it real hard, and then they would sand it down to make it look like a tooth. So they did that, but I had root canal done. So the teeth were dark up top and white on the bottom. Now I got the nickname Two-Tone Jack. Right. So, and every time I play basketball, I get injured. I hit myself in the mouth. There goes one of the teeth that was fixed, broke. I got to go back again. So finally, I was in the 8th grade, and the dentist said, "You know what? You keep on breaking them and all that. I have an idea. Why don't we just pull the teeth, and we're going to give you a flipper?" I never knew what that was, but he pulled the teeth, and then they made this flipper, and they put it up, and I'm smiling. Now I got a Donny Osmond smile. It's great. It's great, right? So I'm just like all over the place smiling. But the thing is that you could pull that flipper out, and you could, make it chatter. So I would do that in the classroom. I would take them out and put it on the person in front of me's shoulder or hat or whatever. And then, then that just added to my repertoire of all the other clown stuff that I had, was having those teeth. And then as I got older, going to bars and stuff, there'd be a gigantic bouncer at the door, and I'd somehow get behind him and put my teeth on his shoulder. And now we got the whole bar laughing at the bouncer. But I make sure I got him back before he turned around. But I had a lot of fun with these. Every time I went to the dentist, the same thing. Mr. Ryan, you should think about getting these done permanently. I said, no way, doc. What do you mean? I have too much fun with them. I put them on in people's drinks, on people's shoulders. I have too much fun with me. And the dentist, of course, he looks at me like, what's wrong with this guy?
Wow. Well, obviously had a high pain tolerance, because for all those years, going through, multiple types of, oral surgeries and whatnot, that had to have a lot of pain there.
Well, no, because they did root canal. Once they do root canal, the tooth's dead. So
yeah,
there's really no pain.
And think about all these things where, all the signs are there. You are going to be an entertainer, no doubt about it. Of course, you had to go through a long journey to get to where you are now. Let's talk about, some of those life lessons that you learned, because growing up in Brooklyn, you went to a couple schools because things just weren't working out. You weren't serious in the classroom, getting bad grades. Kind of take us through a little bit of that journey.
So growing up playing basketball, my friends, they didn't say it now then, but they say it now, especially my boy Turk, who's in the documentary, who's on the basketball court with me all the time. I always wanted to make basketball a show. Basketball was always entertainment for me. It was how I can make people laugh, how I can embarrass people with the basketball. Like Pete Vesey says in my first documentary, Jack was doing this N1 tricks way before the N1, 25 years ago. And he was white back then also. That's what he said.
Yeah, so you were the professor before the professor.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And so basketball was always a show for me. I didn't want to win and score 20 points. I want to destroy you, score 60 points, and make you look bad. I just got a kick out of it. And I got a kick out of it because people that were watching got a kick out of it.
Yeah, and so think about that. When you're on the court, you're just yourself. You're having fun. But yet for all those years trying to get acceptance from your father, being bullied from all the, students. Here's your chance to be a bully and just take their heart, because you're like, you know what? Hey, here I am on the court, try to stop me, and they couldn't.
Right. It's like everything else in life. I was not doing good. I was in trouble at home. I was in trouble at school. I had bad grades, but when I was on that court, I knew I was doing my thing. And that's where I wanted to be all the time. That was my happy place.
Yeah.
And from being at that happy place so many hours every single day in the rain and the snow, I got better. You put that much time into anything, you're going to get better.
Amen. So basketball for you was kind of your safe place, kind of your sanctuary, just where you were fulfilled. It was kind of a purpose for you. Is that right?
Yeah, that basketball. And then there's the other part of basketball, which is the entertainment. I was about 8 or 9 years old on one Saturday morning watching the Globetrotter cartoon, and I saw one of the most famous famous Globetrotters, Curly Neal. He did that. And all the kids around him, they went. I said, oh man, I got to learn how to do that. Maybe kids will clap for me one day. But it was all about being a show off. It took forever, but I was determined to do it. There was no way I was going to give up. I was going to spin that ball on my finger. Then finally one day I got it. And I saw, I'm 8 or 9, but I see younger kids looking at me like, oh, look at that guy. Look at that. And that was my fuel to do it more, to do it better, keep doing it in front of people so they could watch me do it. And then I taught myself how to do it on my nose, and that was about it until I got discovered by the Harlem Wizards. And then within 1 year, I became like the best trickster and started sending out VHS tapes to NBA and college halftime shows. And that's how I got on the halftime circuit.
Wow, phenomenal. So take us through that feeling being 8 or 9 years old and watching that cartoon and just wanting to be able to spin that ball in your finger and then finally being able to do it. What did that do for you, to your soul, to your spirit?
Well, like I did it. If you can accomplish anything, it took over a year. I don't know exactly. Maybe it was a year and a half. Maybe it was 11 months. I don't know, but it was a long, long time, and it was just a feeling of I did it. I can do it.
Wow. Wow. Love that story. So
That's why when I became a Harlem Wizard, I went back to that time when, playing basketball as a little kid or practicing my basketball tricks. I went back doing that, and I took everybody's best trick on my team, put it in my repertoire, and then I made my own hat with a point on it. I started putting the pens in my shoes so I could spin the basketballs off my sneakers,
wow.
and I made a contraption that fit on my legs that I could spin 7 basketballs on my legs, 8, 9, 10. So I was always thinking of creative imagination, always thinking what I can do to make people go, ooh, ah.
Right. And so at any time, were any of those ever like a Guinness Book of World Records where, where you spin the ball the longest or had the most balls spinning at one time? Or did you ever investigate any of that at that young age?
Not at that young age, but when I was a Harlem Wizard, I got hired for my own business, the Hoop Wizard. I got hired to perform at the NBA All-Star Game 2008 in New Orleans. And when I got there, the guy that hired me said, Jack, Guinness is here. They're looking to set and break records. Are you interested? I'm like, yeah. So I met with the guy and he said, write what you can do. So I wrote down and he said, can you do that one, and that one? I go, yeah. So I did it and I set the record. I became a 3-time Guinness record holder that easy. And my 3 records, I'm in the 2009 green shiny book in the NBA section, but my 3 records are longest spin on my toenail, longest spin on my nose, and most free throws blindfolded in a minute. All 3 have been broken by then. I could probably get my toe spinning thing back, but I already have my 3 plaques hanging in my living room. I don't need to do it again.
Wow, wow, and wow. We'll backtrack from that because you think, here's a guy getting Guinness Book of World Records for his showmanship, for his ability and skills. And I want to keep honing in on the skills and the hours that it took you to be as skilled as you were. You bounced around from school to school. You go off to junior college. That didn't work out. You visit Ohio University. Those didn't work out. What was it when you look back at it now? Of course, it's probably easier to see, but what was it that just wouldn't work out for you at these high schools where you had to bounce around and then the colleges where it just wasn't working out? What was it that just wouldn't stick? Was it the relationships with the coach? Was it just personal choices? Was it just anger that you had inside? Or was it a combination of all of it?
I could not listen to authority. I was a coach's worst nightmare, parents' worst nightmare, and teachers' worst nightmare. I just could not listen to authority. And on the basketball court, when I put all that time in there and I knew how good I was and I knew how I could score on anybody and nobody can guard me and I can go by anybody. When I have a coach tell me, don't put it through your legs, don't do that, do it this way. I'm like, no, you just come into my life and this is the way I play basketball. So knowing now, you got to play in a coach's system. You can't just come unless you're Michael Jordan, which I wasn't. You got to play in a coach's system. You got to listen.
Wow. But it had to be so frustrating for you because here being in the street ball parks of New York and all the crowds and embarrass people and take their heart. And yet you go into a structured system where now a coach is saying, no, you can't do that. To you, it had to be like, well, allow me to show you. But yet they didn't want to be shown because back then the old heads were, my way or the highway. So, I mean, how many times was it so frustrating for you? Because you're like, I have all this ability and talent and skill, and yet you won't let me show you how I play to help you.
It happened time and time and time again. And after Brooklyn College, I said, that's it. I'm done with coaches. I'm done with college basketball. I'm going to go back to the parks and be the king of the parks.
Wow.
That's what I did.
Yes, and then of course then the story in the documentaries, you love to sunbathe. You're sitting on the side of the court, you're tanning, you've got that skin color, you got the perfect hair, you got the glamorous smile now, and you're a showman. Talk to us about how did that make you feel, just being on the courts, sunning yourself, waiting for the next pickup game to try, like, hey, beat me and you can take me off the court, but no one could do it.
As far as sun tanning, I mean, you can't tell probably over the phone, but I'm pretty damn tan now. And in here is all white, but I don't really lay out in the sun anymore. Maybe in the beginning when you get a nice day in February or March, I'll do that just because the warm sun feels good. But I'm out. I'm out on my bicycle. I'm out playing ball. Summertime, you ain't finding me inside. I'm out. And from being out, and even though I've had a couple of things taken off of me, and the doctor screams at me, I put lotion on. I'm up to 15 or 30. I'm up to 15. So it used to be baby oil and iodine. Then it was
my
4,
God.
then it was 6, 8, and then it was whatever 10, and now I'm up to 15 now. So I'm doing good.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, you think about putting on the baby oil. I mean, oh my gosh, with all the skin cancer issues and, SPF 50s.
Back then, that's what everybody did. Baby oil, iodine, and a reflector. That's what everybody did.
Oh, that's a great story, Jack. I love it. Let's go back to Peter Vesey and him, offering you an opportunity for a tryout. And at first you're like, no way, don't want to do it, not interested. Take us through that. And what was it where in the beginning you just weren't interested in any kind of tryout?
I didn't think I was good enough. That was it, plain and simple. I didn't think I was good enough. I thought the NBA, I thought I was here and the NBA is here.
Yeah.
So I was 21, 22 when he said that. And I said no. And then after that, playing in different leagues and everything, everybody's telling me, yo, what are you doing? You should be playing somewhere. I'm like, really? So I went back to Pete Vesey. I said, hey, Pete, can you still get me to try out? But now my confidence is up. Yeah. It's much higher than it was at 22, 23.
Yeah.
And I said, Pete, can you still get me to try out? He got me to call Willis Freed, got the tryout. I went there really nervous. But when I got there, I was like, I belong. I belong here. I was just as, I knew I fit in. I felt it just even warming up and getting shots up and everything. I remember the first scrimmage we had, I came down and I hit a shot at the top of the key. It was the first shot I made in the scrimmages. And Rick Carlisle yelled from the sideline, nice shot, old man. I was 28 at the time. I got cut on my 29th birthday. But it was that day or the next day we were doing suicide drills and I stepped on the line just to get back him real quick. And my knee just popped. And that was the end of that. I tried to play, but couldn't do it. Then I wound up having surgery. And when I was 32 years old, I called Pete. I felt I was back. I was like, hey, Pete, can you get me another tryout? He said, you were too old at 28.
Wow. Well, so let's go through that because it's with the Nets, correct? And you got Bill Fitch was the head coach. NBA coach now, Rick Carlisle was his assistant coach. Take us through those feelings walking through that door when you finally have the confidence, because the game is so mental. I mean, a lot of people are very skilled, but that mental, that esteem and confidence of knowing what you can do, that's so vital to be successful. Because, I've been around some of the best players today. So take us through what it was like going through that door. You probably got, you're all ready to go in your mind. You're carrying your bag in. You see Coach Bill Fitch. What was that introduction like? Because, they're probably looking for, somebody different, someone younger, someone maybe more athletic looking. But in your mind, going through that door, take us through that step by step of getting your shot. You're walking in and like, hey, this is it. This is the real deal.
Yeah, well, it was a long time ago, so I don't remember everything, but I just remember, getting ready for it. Just playing every day. And I remember I just drank tons of water all day. I dropped, probably dropped 10 pounds or so just by drinking water all day and night. And yeah, just getting the opportunity. I don't remember if Bill Fish said, "Hey, great to have you," or anything like that, or I don't know if it was just, "Hey, how are you? Good luck." I don't remember any of that.
Yeah.
But when I did the last day, he pulled me over, um, and I think he was a little afraid because in one of the scrimmages, Jaron Jackson, me and him
Ah.
got into it, and there was this one guy, Michael Cutright. He took every shot. He was a point guard. Every time he brought it up, he wouldn't pass, and he took every shot. Right. So now I get in, and I'm playing. And I think it's when I took that shot, and Rick Heil said, "Nice shot, old man." Jaron Jackson comes up to me. He's like, "Yo, pass the fucking ball." Steam came out of my ears, and I was like,
Wow.
and
Wow.
we get into it, and I went after him. I mean, it was broken up. He would have killed me. But in my mind, I'm like, you don't know who I am. I ain't taking none of that crap.
Yeah.
And they broke it up. And I think at the end, maybe Bill Fitch thought I was going to go nuts if if I got cut. They told me that I got cut, but he said it in such a nice way. He goes, "Hey, Jack, you're not going to make it around this time. You're not going to make it this time around." He goes, "I know you hurt your knee. Fix your knee up, get in better shape, and next year you're invited by me. You don't need Pete Vesey." But then the
Wow.
following year, he was gone. The following year,
Yeah.
that year he was gone.
Coach Carlisle now tells the story. He says, there's just not many like you. And to hear, an NBA champion coach to say there's not many like you, that's got to feel pretty good because that's like you earned the respect. And wow, you were there and you got in that domain and you proved you could do it. What did that mean? Because you never got the encouragement from your father, you never got the support from your father, but yet here's an NBA coach, saying that there's not many like you, and to hear that you've got the skill to do it. What does that mean to you?
Well, yeah, I mean it's Rick Carlisle, so that's huge. And Rick was very nice. He's in my first documentary on YouTube. He's in the Netflix, and he just had very nice things to say. And I've been in touch with him. I'd love to meet up with him again and see him. I tried to get it when he was coaching Dallas. They came to New York, but we didn't. We're not able to make that happen. I wanted him to meet my daughter also, but who knows? Maybe one day down the future, I'll get to see him and thank him in person.
Isn't that awesome?
Because to have him in the documentary and saying I could have, if I did the things right, I would have had a spot in the NBA. I mean, that's huge to have a guy like that say that.
Right. Well, and then I think too, I try to put myself in your shoes because here you are, this street ball legend who would just basically go out there and be creative, be innovative, be a showman, but yet still be a baller and have that high level skill set and the freedom of the street ball. And yet you go into a structured environment with the NBA where, in the documentary, you're talking about, you're doing all these lunges and you're doing all these exercises. And I'm sure you're using muscles that you hadn't used in a while.
I never did a lunge in my life. I did that
Yeah.
makes me go up and down. The next day I couldn't move. Maybe that's how I destroyed my knee. I never did a lunge in my life. I didn't even know what a lunge was.
Yeah. So I'm sure your legs are feeling like spaghetti and feeling weak because you
Yeah.
haven't used
That I
those
remember.
types of
Yeah.
muscles. Oh my gosh. So in your mind, when you're going through these exercises, are you thinking, this is not basketball? Why are we doing this?
I just remember that I couldn't do it. It hurt, and I didn't like doing it.
Yeah.
But I had to do it. The coaches were watching.
Oh my goodness. And so when you hurt the knee, I mean, I know you know your body and you're in tune with your body as an athlete. When you felt that injury, did you know immediately, oh my gosh, this is it?
Oh yeah, I'm done. Oh yeah, I
Did
knew it
it
right away.
what did it feel like? I mean, did it swell right away? Was it
The pain. I don't
Yeah.
remember. Yeah, it had that swell maybe the next day or whatever. But just the pain, just stepping, I couldn't walk.
Wow. Wow. And so here we go again. Here's a story of perseverance. You've gone through so many ups and downs. You've gone to multiple schools. The schools never worked out. You get a shot with the NBA. Now you hurt your knee. What's going through your mind mentally? Is it just, okay, Coach Fitch says, get healthy, come back. I got another shot. So in your mind, where are you at mentally there when you're like, okay, now I got to go through this rehab?
Yeah, well, I've had, let's see, I have a total of 6 knee surgeries. The last one was a knee replacement, which was the
Oh,
best thing I ever did. So I know after each and every surgery, when it gets better, but it's a mental thing. Like, you got to get the confidence that you can go hard on your knee
yeah.
again. And yeah, after, oh, I know what happened. That surgery, a cyst formed on my knee. So I
Oh,
healed with that. There was still pain. I had to go back in. They cut the cyst out. They didn't get to the core of it. I had to go back in months later with a different guy that got to the core of it and finally got it out. That's why from 28 or 29 to 32, I was having these surgeries and jumping back,
oh.
healing, surgery, jumping back. And then finally, when I was back and there was no more pain, hey, Pete, can you get me that tryout? You were too old when you were 28.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And that had to be frustrating. And in the documentary, I love the vulnerability where you're talking about it's a New Year's Eve night. You're kind of going to the bar. Share that story with our viewers because once again, you've had trial, you've had tribulation, you didn't have support from your father. And yet, what was going through your mind, on that New Year's Eve where to you, you probably hit what was rock bottom?
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. I remember that night. Yeah. So, it's New Year's Eve going from 1996 to 97. I don't have a girlfriend. I got nothing. My friend's bartending at this bar. I hop on the train. I go 2 or 3 stops. I get off. I go see him. I'm sitting there. Hey, Chris, what's up? I put $10 on the bar and I drink the night for free. Hanging out, drinking. This is like 10 o'clock at night. 12 o'clock comes and everybody's paired off. 3, 2, 1, rah, everybody's hugging, kissing, high-fiving, all that. My friend's busy making the drinks. I'm just sitting there alone, and I'm like, this stinks, man. This really stinks. And so I don't even say goodbye. I just leave. I cry to the train station. I get on the train. I cry. There's people on train. I'm hiding. I don't want them to see me. I walk 2 blocks down the hill to get home. And that's when I call my sister. I was like, Suzanne, I don't want to be here anymore. I just don't want to be here. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, I don't want to be here. I said, I hate myself. I hate my life. I don't want to be here. She's like, what are you talking about? You need to talk to Father Fonte. Father Fonte was a priest in our neighborhood. I went to school with his older brother. Father Fonte married my sister, Suzanne, and her husband, Kevin. So she gave me Father Fonte's number. I called, left a message, Father, this is Jackie Ryan. Can you please call me as soon as you can? He never called me back.
Wow.
You would have thought that's it. Cool.
Yeah. Wow.
He never called me back. But 5 months after that, in May, I got invited to play in a pro-am basketball tournament in Florida. While I was there, before one of the games, I had the ball spinning on my thumb with my arm straight down near my thigh. And the coach came over and he said, Jack, how do you do that? I was like, oh, that's nothing. Watch this. He goes, I can get you a tryout with the Harlem Wizards.
Wow.
I'm white. He goes, no, it doesn't matter. The way you handle the basketball and play basketball, I'm going to get you a tryout. So one thing led to another. I never had a tryout. I got a phone call from Rudy Johnson saying, hey, can you show up at this birthday party, kid's birthday party? I was like, sure. I went there. I didn't really do anything. All the showmen, I just stood around, spun the ball on my finger, on my nose, whatever. And then the next event was in June. It was outside of Modell's by Grand Central Station, and the owner was there. The owner is he's a few years older than me, a white Jewish guy, Todd Davis. And I guess he liked what he saw because he said yes. If he would have said no, he said yes. That's why I owe everything to the Harlem Wizards. They changed my life. I did a 180. Once I became a Harlem Wizard, I knew this is why I'm here. I hit the nail right on the head. I prepared for this my whole life. I got thrown out of every classroom being a class clown. I was a good basketball player, and I started spinning basketballs when I was 8 or 9 years old. So I hit the nail right on the head. And when I hit the nail on the head, I said, I'm not screwing this up like everything else.
No
And
looking back. You found your niche, you found your purpose. You're able to now use the game of basketball and your skills to entertain and show off. So, you know what, Jack? I think it's just a phenomenal story. Talk about talk about some of the games that you would be involved in. Drop some names and share some stories of, going against some street ball legends where you're earning your street credibility.
well, yeah, there's a lot of them. New York City, there's a ton of great ball
Oh,
players.
wow.
I always say the guy inch for inch or pound for pound that I played with and against and was a Harlem Wizard with is Speedy Williams. He was
Ah,
like Allen Iverson, but
yep.
he was like me. He just couldn't listen to coaches, wanted to do things his own way and stuff like that. But as far as a great basketball player, all aspects, defense, his mental of he's not losing and he'll run his head into a brick wall, inch for inch, pound for pound. That's the best guy I ever played with or against. I played with
Wow.
Chris Mullin growing up.
Yeah.
I played in high school against Sidney Green, who played NBA for
Wow.
a long, long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Played with a lot of great basketball players. Yeah, a lot of these street ball stories there. Lloyd Daniels played with him.
Sweet
He's
pea. Yeah.
Sweet P. A lot of these stories, there's sad endings to these stories, or they're homeless. I just saw Joe Hammond the other day. I had a game up in Harlem, and he was walking by and he was talking some stuff to the guys. Hey Joe, how you doing? But I'm lucky for me. My story turned out to be, you know,
I
pretty damn
love
good.
it. Oh, you're not kidding about that. I mean, when you have a movie made about your life story and you're able to be on documentaries, I mean, you know what? You're impacting lives in ways that maybe you don't even realize. But to have you as a guest on the show today to share these stories is empowering. It's inspiring, and I love how you go about it. Let's talk about the birth of your daughter and how that really changed your life. Talk about your daughter and the moment she was born, and then, you taking her to all these exhibitions. Let's go into that relationship.
So when my ex-wife was pregnant, um, we weren't going to find out if it was a boy or girl, but I was certain it was going to be a boy. It had to be a boy because he was going to do everything right, not screw up like me and make it to the NBA, right? So um, she had a fever in the middle of the night, 1, 2 in the morning. We had to rush her to the hospital. They did emergency C-section.
Oh,
And so they asked me if I wanted to be in the room. I'm like, yeah. So they said, all right, go sit in that corner. By the time they were opening up my ex-wife, I was at the foot of the bed like
oh,
this.
wow.
And they were, there was a commotion. Everybody's in there. The guy went in there like this and pulled the baby out. And I'm like, where's that little weenie? I know it's going to be a weenie. And pulls it out. And I'm looking, I can't look and all that. And then you hear the smack, it's a girl. And I'm like,
Oh,
then they cleaned her up and they put her on my lap. And I went, oh my God. It
oh,
was instant love.
oh
It
my
was,
goodness.
and just smelled, oh my God. And it just got better and better and better. So when she was maybe a few days or a few weeks old, I was spinning the ball over the crib, looking down at her. Right. So when she was, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, I said, give me a little finger. I'd take a little finger and I'd spin the ball on the finger. Now I would come
Wow.
home and she'd come over crawling. She can't walk yet. Crawling. Papa, Papa, with her finger. She wanted me to spin the ball on her finger. She started walking at 10 months old. I taught her to squeeze a pen. I would hold it with her, then slightly let go. Squeeze it tighter, Morgan. Squeeze it tighter. I would put the spinning ball on the pen and then let go. And she would be doing it by herself and immediately just look at her mom like, you see this? You see this? And
Wow.
so her first birthday, we had it at Pace University, where my ex played basketball, was a 2-time All-American, and still owns scoring and rebounding records in men's and women's. I
Wow.
did the halftime show for the women's game. Not a lot of people there. But I told Morgan and Jen, when I'm done spinning 10 basketballs, push Morgan to come see Daddy. So do that. I got a nice little applause. Here comes Morgan wobbling out. I give her the pen that we went over many times. I spin the ball on a pen. I back away. You would have thought we were at Madison Square Garden and there was 15,000 people there. And I went father and daughter act. And from then, you know, when she was 2.5 years old, she could do many variations of dribbling 2 basketballs at the same time. Wow. We sent the tape into Ellen DeGeneres and they got back to us. They were interested. We never got on, but they were interested. And from then, you know, we did the New York Liberty halftime show so many times. We did the New York Knicks, Philadelphia 76ers had an unbelievable time doing the Notre Dame halftime show, standing ovation at the New York Knicks halftime show, UPenn, St. John's, I mean, California Baptist University, they flew us out there. You know, then all the TV stations getting on doing doing stories on us. It was a blast.
Oh my gosh. So Miss Morgan Sophie Jack.
So yeah, she's Mo Ryan. That was her name with the Wizards. She became the youngest female Harlem Wizard.
Wow.
So she's Mo 15. And now she's on they won the state championship this year in high school. She got female athlete of the year. Wow. She also was a soccer star, won the state championship as a sophomore. She was a starter. Last year, they lost the state championship game. But yeah, next year, off to Pace University. That's big shoes to fill from where her mother was.
Oh my God. And hearing you share that story, I mean, you're just glowing. You're so proud of her and the things that she's accomplished and the things that you've been able to bond over and do together. I mean, it warms your heart because you think of Kobe Bryant and the hashtags on social media, girl dad. You are the epitome of that girl dad right now.
Yeah, I am. Yes, I am. I'll take credit for that.
Oh, man.
She's my life. She's got me like this, man. She could put me on the highest highs and she could put me on the lowest lows. When she gets into that, don't get back to me or only call me when she wants something. 18-year-old teenager. 18-year-old teenager. Wow. I know the audience, the viewers out there know what I'm talking about if they have one.
That's exactly right. Oh my goodness. You know, to hear you share that story, it makes me think back to the severed relationship that you had with your father. And you obviously learned, you know, lessons through that. And yet here you are with your daughter being polar opposites, a 180 from the relationship that you had with your dad. What does that mean to you to have that relationship with her and to see her have these successes and to watch her grow and evolve and just be successful doing what she loves to do?
So, you know, I knew right from the go. I remembered my father. I said, I'm not going to be like that. I was all over Morgan. So I wasn't like, oh, I got to go be affectionate with her. I could not. It was a magnet. I had to be near her. I would fight with my ex-wife. I want to change a diaper. Let me do it. Let me do it. My father had 5 kids, never changed one diaper.
Wow.
One diaper.
Wow.
So, yeah, I just been all over her since day one. I can't help it.
It's phenomenal.
So getting back to my dad, because I saying some negative stuff about him. You know, was he a strict pain in the butt? Yeah. But look who he had to deal with.
Yeah.
If he was alive today, he'd be calling me every day. He passed right before I became a Harlem Wizard.
Right.
He'd be calling me every day saying, send me videos of your show. Send me pictures. When are you bringing Morgan to me? Okay. We would be like this. I know it because I made something of myself.
Yeah.
He was a strict, hard-working guy that, you know, you go to work, you work hard, you come home, you provide for your family. I was not that until the age of 37.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it takes a popcorn kernel a little longer to pop, but you popped, and the success that you're having, the life that you're living, the work ethic and the perseverance. I mean, there's so many stories here that we could say that you do and you epitomize, but you have persevered, and God is using you in ways to empower people, inspire people, entertain people, which brings you joy. Share a few last words with our viewers today, Jack, because this has been phenomenal, and I'm just so excited that we've had this time to share today.
Well, I want to talk about my mom. My mom is my angel, and I spoke about everybody but her. In her eyes, I could do nothing wrong. Um, yeah, like I said, she said, Jackie, you were always so much different than the rest of my children. She'd be out with my sister shopping, and if she saw like a funny prop or anything, she'd say, let's get that for Jackie so he could use it at the dinner table. Yeah, so she fortunately got to see me do what I do. And in 1 year of being a Harlem Wizard, a nun came up to me, and the nun said, you're doing God's work. You're making the children happy. And I was like, I'm just having fun. I didn't real. And then after that, I got it. It's about the children. So we were away that was at a Harlem Wizard game. We were upstate somewhere, and I got home to my hotel room, and I called my mom and I said, Mom, you're never going to believe this. A nun told me I'm doing God's work. I'm making the children happy. And she's like, oh, that's great, Jackie. Keep doing what you're doing. My mom passed away shortly after that. And in my mom's eulogy, my sister said one word that Mom would have said to each and every one of us. And when it came to my turn, she said, Jackie, keep doing God's work. Make the children happy. And that's what I do every day.
BlackJack, Jack, I got chills hearing you just share that. And it almost brings a tear to my eye. And I'm so thrilled for you that, you've been able to turn the page and turn, negatives and adversities into positives. And I love that you stuck to what you loved. And even though it may not have fit everybody else's agenda, you knew what you loved. You stuck to it, and yet you kind of found a way. Yeah, there was a life jacket thrown to you by the owner of the Wizards, but my man, you've persevered. And I encourage our viewers to go on YouTube and look at some of these videos that they have where you're out there. You have so much pride in your presentation, and you're entertaining and making them laugh and smile and sharing your messages. And thank you for sharing your messages, with our show viewers today.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. And I hope the people that are watching enjoyed it, and maybe can get some inspiration from it. And, failure is what made me who I am today. I failed at everything, and it was my fault. But, failure does two things. You stay down or you get up. Luckily, I got up. I figured it out.
How can people, can they get in contact with you? Is there a website where maybe they want you for a speaking engagement or put on an exhibition to entertain kids? Or, the Utah Jazz out here would be great to have you come out here and entertain them. How can people find BlackJack Ryan?
Well, I update a lot of basketball stuff to my Instagram, and that's BlackJack Ryan 21. And I do have a website, which is hoopwizard.com. No S, just hoopwizard.com.
I love it. I encourage people, I implore people to search you out, watch your videos, see what you do, bring you out and let you speak and let you entertain the kids, because my man, you're the best at it. God bless you. Continue to do what you do. And thank you so much for being a guest on the Coach Scott Field Show today with me today, because I know there's other things you could have been doing, and you ran from a camp just to get on the show here with me this afternoon. So God bless you, and thank you, Jack.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Scott.
This has been wonderful, brother.